Okay, so I'm hearing from Daryl. I saw him wave to me, and he's telling me that he's cold. He's shivering, and it looks like some kind of rocky area, like a cave. His feet are all bloody. I think that he had some kind of ice exposure. Now he's telling me that he's in Antarctica. He doesn't know how he got there. There must have been some kind of abnormal, some type of abnormal effect in the time travel process. Skipped, he says something about it skipped. And he used the word, he said he jumped 2 quatrains. So think about the quatrains, I think of that Nostradamus, but all right, oh, he's saying quad trains. What are those? He said that we'll see them in the future. He said there was a biosphere that's creating abnormalities in the time-space reality quantum field. How did they get into the quantum field? Some new experiment. I'm asking him, how do we get him out of there? He just said he's afraid he'll die if he doesn't get out of there soon. I was the only one that could hear him. There's a female by the name of Tempest that he was interacting with before he got here. Another named Juilliard. Liston. Someone Van Dixon. Reed. Sumter. He said it's strange. He's in a fixed location, but it seems like he's still moving. And now everything is melting underneath his feet. I'm asking him if that's the future or the past. And I just saw an equation that looked like a all sorts of different shapes, octagonal shapes maybe, interconnected. He said, I'm seeing the sequences. 888, 35. And number 10. And he said there's the space that he's in now, it just changed. And there's an opening inside the cave, and there's bleach all over the floor. You could smell it. Floor has black and white tiles. His ankle looks really weird. He said it looks worse than it is. It's wounded. He tried to jump from somewhere. He said it looks like some kind of laboratory. He's starting to get nervous. He said someone is pulling him into our reality right now, like a future reality, and he thinks he's getting set up. He just asked me, how do I stop this? I said, I don't know. I just asked him, how in the world did he get into this situation? I thought he had already returned back. He said he did, but because of all the time travel that he did, he and his friends somehow got into an anomaly and started traveling involuntarily. He said, all we know is we got dizzy and it just pulled us back in. He said, you can't travel this much without. We knew this was a potential. We were told and warned that time would control us as opposed to us controlling time. And we needed to be more careful. I guess it's too late to think about that now. I need to know what's happening. I was just holding on to the wall that was opened up, or the cave, and now the cave doesn't exist and I fell. Or at least tripped down some of these stairs. He said things are appearing and disappearing and changing. And the floor has changed to some kind of textured black floor. And now I see all sorts of vehicles there. There's humanoid spiders, but for some reason they can't see me yet because I think I'm vibrating too quickly. I need to get out of here. If they see me, they'll kill me. It's changing again. It's changing again into water, like there was a flood. I asked him again, what time is it? He said he doesn't know the time period. He said it just seems like the sequences are changing rapidly. He's getting close to now a door. He says he doesn't know how he's moving, but suddenly the door is there, or else it's an optical illusion where the door is moving up to him as he's moving through the space, time-space. He said he can hear like a train sound. It's very loud. His ears feel like they're hurting. He's got his hands in his ears. I think it looks like he's vomiting. Are you okay, Daryl? He's coughing, choking a little bit. He said he's still moving. There's these enormous bumblebees, really huge. Are you in quantum space or are you in a timeline? He said he doesn't know. He's lifting up his finger now, and there's all this goo that's underneath him. Maybe it's related to the bees, like honey. He said he thinks it's plasma. He said everything just settled, and now he's on top of the rocks of where he was standing before, on top of this cave. He said he's now, and he can see it, he recognizes it's Strasbourg. He said they think he's someone else. Somehow he got into a space that was meant for someone else. Maybe they were searching for someone and they pulled him in by accident. He said that can happen. You can search for somebody and then pull in some kind of creature without actually realizing what you were doing. It's very dangerous. He said there's all these beings that look like plasma all around him. He said almost like they're a shadow of humanity or of humans. He said he thinks that they're lost. Now I see some kind of like triangle that is opening up like a portal. There's multiple colors, like frequencies and colors. He won't go in it. He said that one's dangerous. He says that's from Sirius. He doesn't want to end up there. He has a watch on him. He's adjusting it. He said, I found the right connection. He says, bye, I've got to go. And then he said, thank you for your help. And he left a letter, dropped a letter. Trying to see if I can read what the letter says. Something like beware of the goats, the man goats. I think he's talking about hybrids. They are hunting for certain people. Those people that have been looking at things. And he has an eye there. He said that is their symbol. The eye of the goat. It's not the eye of Horus. It's the eye of the goat. They mean destruction to humanity. No need to be alarmed or frightened, but do not follow or obey them at any cost. I'm looking to see if there's anything else on here. There's some kind of architecture of a house in the back, almost like a blueprint. This is the house that you've been looking for. That's what he said. I think this is a house like a MyLab, maybe like a Shaw house or something like that. There's a black gate around it. And on the outside it says government testing. Cybernetics lab. Sort of looks like an area of like New Mexico. I saw, or it's Arizona, El Paso, old El Paso. Maybe it's not in our time right now, in the future. Some kind of yellow fluid that are in flasks. And I see that he wrote danger. The floor looks like it's red, like there were, has blood on the floor. So I'm looking at the blueprint and then I'm trying to look into the space where he's trying to show me. It's almost like it was a ship and the ship was able to transform into a building. And you go into the building and you can get lost. It becomes big, very big. But they only let those in that they intend to not let them out again. Kind of like a Hotel California. And it just looks like a normal building. Kind of one story, but kind of high, like a plane, like when you have like a hangar for planes. Hmm. Well, I'm going to ask for protection and that no one innocent gets pulled into this. I'm just looking to see. I don't see anyone walking around. Oh, yeah, someone just. They look like they were white. And I don't know if they have two heads, but they had like elongated heads. The skin was very, very white. ET looking, and it almost looked like there was two heads on one body. I don't know if they were mutated or that's the way they look. trying to do something to my eyes. I'm going to pull back. This is very dangerous to do stuff like this. You don't know what you're connecting to. I'm going to ask for protection. Okay. I'm pulling away from it, so I'll have to look into this more. I'm just shielding it so nobody gets hurt until I get some help regarding whatever this is. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. That's the end. Okay, so I decided to take a look at some of the names that Daryl was talking about, and I did a search for Julia or Juilliard, but I was thinking Julie Yard, Y-A-R-D. And when I did the search, this name Julia or Julie Power came up. And I thought it was interesting because she had this triangle on her, and that was a triangle, some kind of triangle portal that shows after what he was talking about, as well as here's some like of a mirror reality, and behind her sort of could be like a portal. It could be sort of triangular, but she's related to this Marvel Earth 616, but I was thinking of some of these characters that were with him, and I know people are saying, well, why, oh, here she goes, looking at cartoons, and some of these characters are actually manifested in some way. It's sort of like, we talked about the soft disclosure, but it felt like many of these people that were connected to Daryl here had some kind of similarity to, these characters here because of their time travel ability, or voracious reader here, superhero mode. These are travelers and they have abilities. So this is the best way that I can describe it. And so that was the first one. So that would have been Julie Yard, or here's Julie Power. And so then I thought, well, I'm going to continue looking at Earth 616. And there was another one called Claire Dixon. The name that I saw was Van Dixon. And this one stood out to me. And she's a special agent with the FBI. Has a connection to Venom. She's on the SWAT team. And so, you can see that there's enhanced abilities as well. The next one is Reed Richards, and I know people have seen this character before in some of the Marvel comics. Is Earth 616. Mr. Fantastic. So obviously he's different. He's in between. I don't know that this part right here, but he's a scientist and inventor. He is a polymath with mastery of all sciences, electrical, mechanical, and these are some of the beings will have some of these abilities and traits. And I wouldn't be surprised if people had kind of a experience, expression, and looking at some kind of expression of like a bleed through or a realization or knowing that these type of beings exist. And very likely also that the corporations and labs definitely know that they exist. And so you see that, there's kind of a weird combination. So that one is Reed Sumter that I heard. There was also a Liston, which I felt like was Elizabeth Allen. So she's called Liz. She's there with Peter Parker. And then she has a connection to the Civil War, which is something that should be brought up because later on I'll explain to you why there's the name Sumter comes up, and Fort Sumter is from the Civil War. So what is Earth 616? It's the prime universe, last of the old, first of the new. The hub of it all revolves around it, and it's a multiversal cycle. It's gone through different incarnations, all trigger different instances of a multiversal renewal, which constitutes in the destruction of recreation of everything that there is. Little is known of most of Earth's 616 incarnations. The fifth is said to have been a dark cosmos or deep magic. The sixth was the universe where the paradise-like planet of Ta existed when the sixth incarnation was destroyed by an entity called the Black Winter. And it left an existential void in the wake until the universe was eventually reborn as a consequence of Big Bang. So they kind of try to create the existence of pre-Earth. And then it talks about, how these heroes then showed up during the seventh iteration of Earth 616. They suffered from an Earth early death as a consequence of a multiversal phenomenon known as the incursions and the intervention of Mr. Fantastic. So then they somehow I think they get augmented or changed, or the seventh cosmos came into being, the Big Bang, the celestials, and then it goes on into these elders, the watchers, the symbiotes are also primordial species, and the Kree and the Skrulls and the Horde. Additionally, then the mutants, the deviants, the Eternals, the deviants, the Inhumans. Anyone that's watched any of these Marvel comics or read the comics, watched the movies, see that these people are enhanced because of circumstances around them. What's really weird is then you have King Arthur somehow rolled into this reign at Camelot, and just it seems like a conglomeration of all sorts of different things, but having their own variation of reality. And the superheroes, which you'll recognize as X-Men, Fantastic Four, Captain America, so forth. But some of the abilities that Peter talks about, they have some of these abilities. And now here's Daryl mentioning names that I felt that's what the search was bringing me up when I started to put the names in. And they were kind of leaning towards the 616. Particularly, I think it was Julia. One might have been the first one. Yeah. Julia was the first one that I picked out, and then I started to see them throughout this whole group. There was this other one, Tempest, I felt was this guy by the name of Garth. who's from DC Comics instead, and is known as Aqualad. And he's sort of like, he's a protege of Aquaman. So I started looking at him. He's got all of these abilities, superhuman strength. He can breathe underwater. He can do all that. This is someone that's very, very advanced. He can make whirlpools and retrocognition, telepathy with the sea, travel between dimensions, astral projection. Here he is on Prime Earth. And there's more than one Aqualad, but this one in particular I felt stood out to me. Here again, they're talking about Arthur. And then Grant Wilson, I thought of Ulysses S. Grant because then it jumps over into the history. So now we have a history of the Civil War, and now we also have Atlantis and the Civil War, and a bunch of different things going on. Here's something weird. They bring up the Tula, which is from during the time of the Nazis, and let's see that. I'll go to that quickly, and you can see it was a sorcerer's dimension ruled by a cabal of mystics who once owned a seat of power within old Atlantis. So I thought that was interesting, showing the connection between this group and Atlantis. And of course, we know about the Vrildaman and Tula group. And that brings in more information about Atlantis, King Atlan. So go back here. And so, yeah, I was thinking of this, I don't know if you call it Garth, but he called him Tempest. And I knew it was a male when he said that, in case anyone was wondering, and that's him again. And that's him again. Okay, so then there was another Tempest that I thought was really kind of interesting, but this one's called Tempest Monroe. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, but this is from Earth TRN 632, and that's also a Marvel cartoon. There was something that he said about the bees, bumblebees. And here there's a quote, "I don't believe in destiny," and then it says honeybees, quote. So that was her name. Tempest Monroe is also named Honeybee. And I thought that was interesting, but I still am leaning towards that it was this Garth was the Tempest. But then I started thinking, is this connected to me? Because then Peter said I was connected to Grimes in some way through the My Labs and Murkoff. And just look at the difference between Lizzie Wizzy and Tempest. So there was something else going on here that I stumbled on while I was researching. And it's pretty close, I think. Both of them have purple hair. One has more of a mohawk. Here's the Battle of Fort Sumter. So he mentioned Sumter. So everything's sort of cryptic in a way, but I had to look it up and see exactly what he was talking about, just in case he was in any danger. And I thought about that. We were looking, he mentioned Sumter, but yet there was also this triangular portal that comes through, and through the portal is an eye of a goat, which made me think of the Baphomet. The Baphomet is two triangles put together, if you think about, the pentagram. But then I thought, well, what would the pyramid what would this triangular portal be doing in during the Civil War? And I felt like that was the anomaly. It happened right around the Civil War, and it created this strange activity where Daryl was pulled through a portal and then or pulled through some place where, different from where he was intended. It sounded like he got separated from these friends that I just mentioned and ended up in Antarctica. And it was sort of like an access point where he was there. And I'm not implying that this was the NAZI, but I am saying that it was definitely felt like it was Sirius, the Sirius star system, in something related to ancient Egypt and connecting and crossing over into the Civil War. So, and that created the anomaly, which, bounced them through time and almost like, think about a Bermuda Triangle kind of stepping in, and that's Atlantis, and there's this triangle. Of course, that's the location where they identified where the anomaly happens within that space. But it's an interesting way to say it, and maybe hints more of what was going on. And that is off of the East Coast. And so Fort Sumter is located in Charleston, South Carolina, which is off of the East Coast. So there definitely was some kind of anomaly that happened there. I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but I do know that there was a presence of this group from Sirius that created this triangular portal, which created this anomaly, which caused Daryl to go through some point in time. And then somehow these friends of his, maybe they got trapped in different locations. I don't know, but I also then thought it was quite interesting that it's possible that, those of you that have been listening to the Andronicus Transmissions, that the description of the Tempest or Garth, reminded me very much of Zamfir with his purple eyes and black hair and extreme abilities. And here he is with that Poseidon. And so there's a lot of Atlantis, this convergence of Atlantis, Egypt, and the Civil War. Very, very strange. And Antarctica. The whole thing was very weird. But obviously, he got back to where he needed to be again. And it's been a long time since I've heard from Daryl. But, it sort of happened while I was sitting at my desk. I was able to write down everything, or just record it all, actually, and then share it with you. But I thought for those of you that were concerned about Daryl, or that we hadn't heard from Daryl in a while, here's some information from him, but also I think he's giving us some information regarding where some of our problems might have been. So here again, I ask that we reset this timeline. And so any injury or harm related to what Sirius did in that space, this is a group of Sirius beings that were not very good. And I believe the supposed Eye of Horus that actually had a goat's eye instead is a clear indication of the entry of maybe this Baphomet in the U.S. So, with that said, for those of you that want to think through this a bit, and this, it's almost like I could link this to 3 shows: the more Daryl channeled information, or deciphering the code, and then the other one is the Andronicus Transmission. So all 3 of them. But anyhow, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. And don't forget to leave your comments below.